If you don't believe that complaining is a good thing, if you think that people should stop doing it, this video is not for you. I'm not here to explain why you should complain. I'm here to explain how to complain and how you can use it to your advantage to connect with people. I am a professional complainer. I complain all the time, and I've used it to connect with people so fast. So I'm going to explain to you how to use it in a socially engaging, interesting, fun way.
Let me tell you something about complaining and crying that's really, really gonna hurt for all you complainers out there. Nobody gives a shit.
My feet hurt. I'm tired. I don't want to go anywhere. I'm so tired. I can't wait to get off my shift. I am just like so exhausted. Aren't you kind of tired? Isn't it like, are you even having fun? Like, that's what you don't want to be like, because that's whining. And whining is totally different than what I'm talking about, which is socially engaging complaining. Whining is what we don't want to do because no one wants to hear that shit. Okay, so be careful when you're using this tool, because if you're a whiner, no one will talk to you. Take it from me, a professional whiner. I know how to do it. I'm very good at it. Stop doing it. No one likes it. They're gonna hate you. If you're like, oh my god, guys, I'm just like, ugh. Everyone hates that energy, okay? So be careful. Whining is not allowed. We are getting rid of it. So, yeah. Okay. Ow. If you think complaining is bad, good. You're probably a better person than me. This is not the video for you. There are good ways of complaining and bad ways of complaining. And I have used complaining to connect with people on such a deep level. I've been complaining all my life. I'm very good at it. I do see the cons because sometimes I do it too much, and I'm working on that. But I think people don't realize the power that complaining can give you, that can afford to you, especially in social situations, especially with people that you don't necessarily know very well. So that is what this video is about. I'm going to explain my thoughts on how to do it well, the subtle art of complaining.
This definitely beats riding a bus like 17 times a day to move all of our stuff.
I have noticed in social situations where I don't know people very well, that if I pick up on something that they're complaining about and I can really validate them in that feeling, there's like instantly a connection. When I'm thinking about this video, there's obviously really negative ways that you can come across if you complain all the time. If you are complaining in a socially inappropriate way, you will get a very negative reaction. I hopped in an Uber and the Uber guy started talking about how he wanted to kill himself because his mother hates him. I think the first thing I said was, hello, how are you? That crosses the line from like casual complaining to this is trauma dumping. And this is not the point of the video. This is why I made this video. Trauma dumping is not the same as complaining. Complaining is very different. Complaining is a casual, lighthearted camaraderie, I think. That's what I always feel like when I'm doing it well. I feel like this camaraderie with the person I'm complaining to. Or I feel validated, or I feel seen, or I feel understood. Trauma dumping is when you're like, hey, this shit happened to me when I was a child, and it really fucked me up, and I want to talk about it. And that's fine. But you need to make sure that the person you're talking to wants to hear all the drama, because sometimes we don't. It's very important whenever you are using complaining as a social tool to check yourself and be like, am I just trauma dumping? Am I just being a negative person? Why am I sharing this thought? I think that I have this problem a lot because I, as well as liking to complain, I also am a very negative person. So I have to balance that when I complain and be like, hey, why am I complaining in this moment? Am I complaining because I'm genuinely upset at someone, or am I just a little bit irritated? What's the purpose of this? The first thing that I would say is understand your purpose for complaining and understand why you do it. And it can be a million different reasons, but really understand for yourself, why are you complaining in this moment? Because I think that can be the make or break of whether it's the negative kind or the positive social kind.
The following people give a shit when you complain. The other losers around you. And let me remind you one more time, the other fucking losers around you.
The two reasons are it's cold and it's new.
They totally ripped you off. The too good to go order, like they gave you stale bagels. They robbed you. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you should file a complaint. You should sue them. Like, what are you talking about? Like, stale bagels? You got one stale bagel for $10? No, yeah, that totally sucks. Like, you should be allowed to go on vacation. You told them in advance, like you gave your availability and they didn't listen to you. Like, that absolutely sucks. I would sue. Honestly, I would sue. That is a more socially elevated way of complaining. I'm adding on to what they're talking about when they're complaining. That is what I'm talking about. Like, it's not you, it's about them. It's about the fun conversation that you're engaging with.
Nobody gives a shit.
The second point is to validate the shit out of people. Complaining is a two-way street, a three-way street, however many people you have in the group that you're talking to. And people don't really get to be validated very often in their day-to-day life. And everyone is looking for that, like all the time. Like they're always seeking that feeling. When you're listening to someone complain, that's the perfect moment to be like, hey, that thing, I agree. Let's talk about it and let's complain the shit out of it. Let's talk about every single thing that's horrible about it. So remember to validate people, because that's how I use this as a social tool, as a tool to get closer to people and make stronger connections. Complaining is not just you. Part of complaining is listening to other people complaining and making it fun and genuinely enjoying listening to other people complain. I love it. I love tell me all of your complaints. If I'm a coworker, tell me everything. I want to know all the details. I want to know all the drama. Vent to me and I'll validate you, because it's fun. It's a fun conversation and you let off a little bit of steam and everyone's happier. I think it's a form of storytelling. I think it's a way to like lightheartedly communicate things that maybe you can't really communicate in a serious way in the moment. It's just a very subtle art form. That's why I'm calling it the subtle art of complaining.
Stop complaining and dwelling, because nobody gives a fuck. Thank you.
How many days do we have until we're moving? It's the 20, so 6 days.
6 days?
Until we leave Seattle.
For when you want to use complaining as a social tool, not as a way to vent, you need to make sure that you're not making it all about you, because that's when it gets negative and starts bogging people down and like stealing energy from everyone. You really need to use this tool as a way to make people talk about themselves instead of you talking about yourself. Unless you have like a really relatable thing to complain about, like, oh, like the manager's being annoying again, like they're telling me what I have to do my job, blah, blah, blah. Do stuff that's like easy to jump in and like yes and. It's really crazy how people will instantly be like, yes, let's complain. I was waiting for someone to say that so I could fucking talk shit about this person. Be careful with that. I'm gonna make another video about gossiping, because I think gossiping usually is pretty bad. And we want to avoid that when we're complaining, because this whole Venn diagram, complaining can very often lead into gossiping, and I want you to be aware of that, because gossiping can get really toxic. And the thing about this video is I want you to learn how to do complaining in a non-toxic social way, the way that I want to do it. And I'm not perfect by any means. I usually use complaining in a negative way when I'm just tired and wanting to vent, have things going on. But I've also used it to like make friendships and conversations and interesting things happen. So remember, you need to maintain your positive intention when you are using this tool. Don't make it about yourself necessarily, especially if you're using it as a tool to connect with people. Don't just talk about yourself all the time. It's not about you. I think venting and complaining and then trauma dumping, these are like tiers of things. Complaining is very much like, let's participate together. Let's complain together. Let's talk about something we hate. And it's so fun to do. So whenever you're doing it, make sure that you're not bringing all the attention just on you, or make it fun for the person to listen to. Complaining is such a dynamic thing. You can make jokes about it. You complain about it. Just like throw things at the wall and see what sticks. The main thing I'm realizing here is complaining only feels good if there's someone who's experienced in validating. You have to validate feelings, or it's just like talking to a brick wall. This concept, it only works in a dynamic conversation. It doesn't work in a one-way conversation, because then you're just talking at someone. You're starting to like level of vent or trauma dumping or just sharing unnecessary information. The way that I would like, I'm a negative person. I have used complaining in a negative, maladaptive way. But when I use it in a positive social building way, I create such fun moments with people. So I think that's why I am making this video, because I'm like, you have the ability to use this in such a positive way. Stop being negative about it. Stop just venting for the sake of venting. There is a place for that, and there's safe people you can do that with. But if you want to connect with people, listen to them, validate them, understand what they're going through. Like, yeah, that sucks. And also another thing that sucks about that, you know what? You were robbed. Yes, that is a terrible experience. Your too good to go order only had stale bagels in it. That sucks. Yes, and everyone, especially when it comes to complaining. You can even do this, even if you think that they're being a little dramatic. You don't have to necessarily agree that what they're complaining about is a big deal, because everyone has their limits with what they can handle in life, what annoys them, what is fine. But it's just like, hey, listen, and make it fun and interesting, and say, yes, that does suck, and another thing that sucks about that. As long as you keep the focus on the other person, and the focus goes back and forth, obviously, for a good conversation. Sometimes it's gonna be on you, sometimes it's gonna be on the other person. But remember that it's about the connection. If you think about it as a connecting tool, that's whenever this really works. And that's whenever it's not venting, but it's really, I'm connecting with you over a negative thing and it's fun. And we're like getting to talk about it and like shoot the shit and be like, yeah, that sucks and that sucks, that sucks. It's fun and I like it. I also was thinking of recording every single time I complain today and adding that into the video. If I use this, thank you for watching. In the comments, complain about something today that happened that was shitty, that annoyed you. Like tell me, I wanna know. I love hearing people complain. Please tell me. And yeah, I appreciate you watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Nobody gives a shit.